I'm trying to use the community I've built and the attention that I've been able to gain to better the industry, but really it requires involvement. By creating industry committees, those people are going to bring their knowledge of their industry, are going to focus on their lane and dive deep into those. What's the difference between all the different scanners? How do I bring data into the softwares that I'm using? Actually start to make an impact on some of the problems we have. In the beginning, I think so many things could start with digital courses. A library full of content to start the education process. We'll start from entry level and we'll go all the way as advanced as you guys can help us create. We want to partner. We want to find ways to continue the expansion. I believe if we can tackle those problems, it helps everybody. I know we've talked a lot about innovation and the necessity behind it. We've talked about the fact that we have the option to be a part of it and to contribute to it or to watch others do it. And we really get to make that choice. And these are not things that I am an expert in, that I know how to do. Some of these things, like putting on a conference for the first time. I'm not an event coordinator, or I wasn't before, but at least I have a backup job now. I didn't know anything about starting a podcast when I did it. And it's given me this passion for trying new things when I think I can make an impact with it. And that's where I think some of these new things we're talking about are going to help the community, but I also need help. I'm trying to use the community I've built and the attention that I've been able to gain to better the industry, but really it requires involvement because I can't educate people on all the technologies. I'm not the expert in all of them. We know there's a lot of massive opportunity, but we've talked about some of the struggles of trying to scale those. There's a lot more opportunity than there is ability to do it now, right? And so how do we fix some of those problems? What are some of our problems? We're going to create the future instead of guess about what can happen. I know I have a lot of text on some of the slides that I'm going to go through, and I'm literally going to read some of them to you. These are some of the challenges that we've talked about or people have told us, when we're thinking about reality capture or problems your firm is having, what are some of those problems? So first off, if you're a company that's in here and you're exploring technology because you're not using it yet, what's one of the first challenges? You don't know where to start. Like, how do you even find what tool to use? You just start Googling things and you don't know what's the difference between all the different scanners. How do I bring data into the softwares that I'm using? You guys can read through some of these. I don't have to read them all. We need good resources to train people. We have a lack of expertise for staff. Like, we can't go hire a bunch of people who know how to scan already. When large organizations decide they want digital twin programs, right? Who's going to supply those? These are all things we've heard throughout the panels, throughout presentations. So how can we as a community actually start to make an impact on some of the problems we have instead of just keep talking about them every year? I was thinking about this quote again, and I was like, well, I feel kind of like this. I feel a little bit crazy for some of the ideas that I come up with, and I probably only share some of them. But I think that I'm starting to see that sometimes you have to be a little bit crazy and try to step outside your comfort zone in order to make a bigger impact. And I think that's what we're really doing together here with this community. So what are some of the things we can do to solve the issues we've talked about? One, we really need to actually start sharing knowledge. And I've even heard just in conversations out here, right? This conference is great in getting to hear what certain people are doing, but it's not actually teaching you how to do anything yet, right? Like when you actually get into the technical aspects, we're not giving you the material yet to actually go back and make a change. You're seeing what other people are doing. You're hearing about some of the problems. You're getting ideas. So we need to start actually sharing the knowledge that we're talking about. We need to create educational content in order to do that. We need to expand collaboration, which really all of these is investing in the future for you as an individual, for you as a business, and for us as an industry. Even going back to the individual, right? We talked about that when we talked about why is innovation important to an individual instead of just a business. There's opportunity. A lot of people out here, you're looking for ways to grow your own life, right? Your own career. You getting involved and learning and being a part of this is great for you as an individual as well as you as a business. So we are going to be launching some committees and some education pursuits, and everything from here moving forward is in the process, is in the works. So I reserve the right to change some of the content moving forward, right? This is going to be an ongoing thing. Just like innovation, we're not done and ready to do all this today, right? This is some of the things we are launching now, and it's going to be a process. Some of them may take 2 weeks. Some of them may take 2 months. Part of that's going to be dependent on the involvement of the community actually getting involved as well. But I want to read our current mission statement regarding the educational content that we're going to be creating. This organization is dedicated to equipping individuals and businesses with specialized knowledge and skills in reality capture essential for success within their specific industry. We're committed to fostering a culture of continuous learning and development, providing comprehensive learning opportunities, training programs, and working towards certification specific to reality capture that enable individuals to excel and thrive in their respective fields. Our mission is to bridge the gap that exists between industry demands and individual capabilities, ensuring that our participants become exceptionally skilled, knowledgeable, and proficient in all forms of reality capture. We strive to enhance career opportunities, foster innovation, drive industry growth by offering tailored learning and training curricula that align with evolving industry trends and the diverse technologies in reality capture. We believe that education, collaboration, and community are the foundation to growing our industry. Our goal is to facilitate access to high quality, industry relevant education, empowering individuals to embrace new opportunities, adapt to change, and contribute effectively to advancements of their industry. By fostering a collaborative and supportive learning environment, we aim to inspire a generation of industry leaders who are not only competent, but also ethical, diverse, and committed to making a positive impact on the world. I could get behind that, and I think it's something we need. What about you guys? I think so. So how do we actually start creating this? So what we're launching is, we're calling it right now RCN Committees. We don't have a specific name for it past that right now. But how is it going to operate? We're having 3 different sections. We're going to have industry-specific committees. We're going to have technology and solution committees, and we're going to have an education committee. Each committee will have a leadership and membership organizational structure under it. These committees will benefit the entire industry by working together as a collective community toward the same mission, which is, I think, why everybody's here, is we are working toward the same mission. Leaders and members of these committees will be able to share in research, technology reviews, pilot programs, training content, case studies in a way that makes it accessible to all and lowers the barrier to making it possible. One organization doesn't have to do it by themselves. We'll rise the tide of the industry through collaboration. I think that creating these committees and actually starting to work on these things together is a way to make all the challenges that we've talked about actually achievable. When we talk about how can a small business start, it's really hard to dedicate all these resources to doing the R&D. Okay, well, what if you only had to contribute joining a committee and spending an hour a week? Or maybe an hour a month, contributing some knowledge, or sharing in a case study, or coming and being involved in a training program? What if now we're taking 2 or 3 or 10 or 50 companies, and we're all contributing on these committees to create this content, to do this research? By resource pooling, we're going to be able to accomplish a lot more than any of us can do individually. So what's the difference between these committees and how will they work, or why are we splitting those up? So the industry-specific committees, and I know this is a lot of text, so I'm not going to read all these actually, but the industry-specific committees, the reason behind those is, like we've talked about, there are people in this room that are dedicated to oil and gas, that are dedicated to airports, that are dedicated to forensics and entertainment. And we realize there's a need for, when we talk about reality capture, we're talking about all the technologies we've talked about in here, from robotics. We're talking about anything that has to do with capturing data, processing data, and creating deliverables from data, and taking that data back out into the field. Is really, when we talk about reality capture as a whole, we're talking about all the technologies within the built environment. That's what I mean when we say reality capture. There's application for reality capture in every industry in one way or another, but it also requires different types of technology, different tech stacks, different workflows, different levels of expertise. And so we can't keep it all under one umbrella when we start getting into standards or into certifications or into training. It has to start becoming specific to the industries or to the project applications. So by creating industry committees, we might have people on those committees that have expertise in architecture, but then we're going to go down and we're going to have people that have expertise in industrial plants. And those people are going to bring their knowledge of their industry, of their problems, to start helping us identify how can the technology solve problems in that industry, and work together with the technology and solutions committees. So we've got industry specific. Now we're into the actual technologies. There's so many technologies. No one person can be the expert in all of these. So we've got things like dimensional control, like we had the survey panel. We're talking about how do we improve accuracies? Why do we need survey? There's tons of people that don't have the answers to that, but there's a lot that do. So as we start narrowing into survey specific committees, laser scanning specific committees, drones, photogrammetry, all of these different committees are going to focus on their lane and dive deep into those, from doing comparison reviews to creating case studies on specific project types. The technologies and solutions will collaborate with the industry specific. So now we're going to start working on, okay, how does dimensional control need to be integrated in if it's an architectural project, and the problems that that committee has created to identify how we integrate it. Now we can start creating guidelines and processes and training that are specific to the technologies and to the industry use cases. Because we have a lot of problems happening in the industry now because people don't know the differences. You can't take one guy who just learned to do laser scanning and go do a refinery project and an airport project and a small house, and they're so different. They need different levels of knowledge to accomplish them properly. And what's happened over the last 15, however many years that scanning has really started to grow is that keeps happening. A lot of people are tackling projects that they don't really know how to handle, which is creating bad data, which is creating bad rep for the technology itself, which is making it hard to adopt, which is making it hard for the industry to grow. So I believe when I talk about why collaboration and community is so important is I believe if we can tackle those problems, it helps everybody. Some people think, well, I don't want to help other people do better because I know how to do good. When I started educating and trying to give advice, because I've been laser scanning for 15 years and I'm really good at it. I don't have a problem saying that because I am. I come from a survey background. I know how to do projects. I'm not out there trying to do it all myself. I see the problems happening and I started helping people. People would come to me with scan problems. And the reason I see the need for these is because I just keep hearing the same thing over and over and over and over. Someone just bought a scanner last month. They went out and did a job. They were told it was super easy. They did this demo at their office, but now they did 500 scans and the whole building's falling apart and they don't know how to fix it. Seeing those problems over and over is what made me realize, okay, if we can actually start helping everybody do better work with all the technology, then those clients at the end aren't going to stop and say, yeah, we tried laser scanning one time, but it doesn't work very well. It's like, it didn't work for us. The people didn't know what they were doing. It wasn't accurate enough. They dropped the data on our laps and we didn't know what to do with it. Those are things we've all heard. And I think if we start fixing those, then the industries and the clients who need these technologies and need these services are going to ask for a lot more of it. What does that do? It creates more demand that we've been talking about is already happening, which creates more opportunity for all of you who want more scanning work and drone work. And you want to integrate these. So I believe by us helping each other, it's going to help everybody. So the third thing is our education committee. So we've got industry specific, technology specific. Instead of making those committees do all the heavy lifting of actually creating the educational content, we're going to break out a separate education committee. And RCN, we are going to actually dedicate resources and people to help with this. We are going to have content writers. We're going to have people that are going to help gather the knowledge. We want to make it easy because we've also seen it's difficult, right? A lot of times organizations that try to tackle things like this, they're volunteer basis. They put a lot of weight on their members and that's okay. That's how it's always been. But it's difficult. I have found a way to maybe pull resources from somewhere else. we have a lot of different things going on, from our podcast to our conference. We have sponsors. We have people who see the need for this. So we want to actually dedicate our own resources to do some of the heavy lifting of creating the content, but we do need participation from the industry to share the knowledge. So there is going to be a level of community involvement and able to do it, but we will work together with industry specific, technology specific, and then work on defining, where's the intersection of those that actually needs training or needs a certification or needs a standard. And I don't have all those answers, but that's the mission and the vision of what we're working toward. And we're going to work those out together. When we actually build each committee and we get the leadership structure for that committee, now it's that committee's job to help us figure out and define what the needs are and how we're going to accomplish some of these big goals that we have. So the three of those together are really the committees that we're launching. Then we're also going to be pursuing partnerships and collaborations with other organizations. One thing I'm really big on is if there's something else that exists that's solving the problem already, my goal is not to go recreate it and compete with some other organization. My goal is to start solving the problems that I see exist that I don't see people tackling. So we are talking with other organizations about potential partnerships, people like USIBD and BIM Forum and other standards organizations, ASPRS and NSPS. And so our goal is to start bringing all of them, because I see other organizations tackling maybe individual pieces, but there's not a lot of people talking about the whole ecosystem. So you might get trained on, a laser scanning item, or you might get into digital twin pieces, but who's helping? How are we guiding the whole process? If we're talking about the future vision being a ton of volume of, we need survey because it needs to be geospatially located, because there's going to be, now we need digital twins, and then that needs to be captured with drones, and then it's going to go into AR. Well, those are all really siloed and segmented right now, and we have to actually start pulling those together. So this is kind of like a quick mock-up of really where we start seeing the intersections of these. I don't know if that's very visible, but so when we look at, okay, we've got all of our industry committees, and now we've got all of our technology committees. Those create this matrix and grid where we can look at the intersection of each of those and start identifying which intersection of those needs training material. We can start creating micro certification processes per industry, per technology, and even project application specific training. One that was brought up in some of our conversations is something like a floor flatness report using laser scanning. That's something where we're taking scanners and people are starting to try to do that, but there's not an exact process right now that is proven. And so what's happening is everybody sees that it's possible, and they all take any scanner out there, and they all take any software that will produce a heat map, and they say that's a floor flatness report. Well, there's problems with that, right? What scanner was it? Was it a Matterport? Because some are calling that a scanner. Was it an iPhone? That's a scanner. Was it an RTC? Was it a Faro? Was it a Leica? Which ones have levelness? Did you use control to make sure your data's not tilted, so you're not saying floor flatness on data that's sitting like this and you're telling them there's not a standard process and way that people are doing that. And again, in order for that to start working well and scale, we have to create training specific to some of these applications. So this is kind of some of the vision of where we want to go that we are starting. We are going to be inviting people to reach out to us to get involved. We're going to be launching these committees. We will have a process for applications to apply to which committee you want to be involved with. If you're in architecture and you're doing laser scanning and you want to be involved on those intersections, I think what we'll end up doing is allowing involvement on multiple technology committees, but maybe just one industry committee, because we don't want people getting overwhelmed and trying to do too much at once either, but we do need participation in order to reach these things. So with that, I actually want to bring out some of the people that we've been talking with and working with on some of this together to share some of their thoughts and perspectives. So you guys welcome, come on out. No, thank you guys very much for first of all the support and the help and the behind the scenes that we've been doing for the last several weeks, meeting together. And I just want to take the chance to kind of do introductions so people know who you are and who you're with. So there's some perspective of where are you coming from in the industry. And then we'll jump in and kind of talk a little bit about why we're doing this from your perspective and what's important about this for where we're at and where we're going. Let's start with introductions down here.
All right. Thanks, Matt. Hi, everybody. I'm Josh Stefano. I'm with DPR Construction. I also represent the USIBD. I've been working with that group for a while. My background is in virtual design and construction and reality capture, primarily the operations of VDC. Have a story similar to a lot of yours where VDC brought me over to reality capture, sort of that plan versus actual kind of mindset. So DPR is a general contractor, so I come at it from not just a VDC, but a contracting and building viewpoint. My current role is in innovation. I'm the West Coast innovation leader. So I've always kind of been a disruptor and trying different things. So I got lucky and was able to turn that into a career. So happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Josh. I'm John Niles. I'm with a company called GAFCON Digital that's now part of Accenture. I've been in the business for about 30 years. In my role now, I am a technology consultant, so I help owners figure out the myriad of possibilities within the digital realm, including reality capture. A lot of my clients are data center clients. But we help owners figure out all the tech stack and how to integrate all those things together. And it really starts with reality capture, frankly. That is the foundation for everything that we build off of. That visual twin is what becomes the digital twin at the end of the day. And what we hope to do is be able to take that data from start through design, through construction, and into operations, because the value is not really in that 18 months. The value is in the next 40 to 70 years that we're going to be using this data over and over to manage that building. So I'm really excited to be here and part of this group.
Hi, my name's Lissa Matoyer. I just introduced myself before, so I'm not sure. Would you like me to do it again?
Twice, but yes, just in case there's anyone new in here.
Okay. So, Lissa Matoyer, I work for Jacobs. I am an owner's rep for Los Angeles Community College District. I'm heading up the digital twin program for them. I met Matthew about a year ago-ish. I didn't attend in person RCN, but I attended virtually. And I have followed and spoken to Matthew ever since. He's a pretty amazing guy. The thing that comes to mind is pay it forward. I feel like that's what Matthew's about, and that's what I'm about. I'm very passionate about pushing the construction management industry forward into what we call construction 4.0, the revolution, construction 4.0. And through that, or because of that, that's why I have joined this group, and I'm here to push everything forward.
Love it. Hello, everyone. If you were here yesterday, you might have saw me, but my name is Bray Tucker, and I'm with Tucker Technology Consulting. And so my background is skyscraper architect, and then I just slowly migrated further and further into solving bigger data challenges and trying to understand more ways that we can be innovative in the built world space. So I've been a strategist for companies like Autodesk and Etro Construction, and now I just offer that up to anybody large or small to solve very hard problems, but more importantly, just to come up with simple strategies to make things work. So that's me in a nutshell. And I met Matt back in our days at Stantec. I don't know how long ago, 8 years ago?
8 or 9 years.
Yeah. So we've known each other for a long time, but I really like this committee that's forming in terms of getting all of us as individuals to have a place to share voices. And so I really believe in the excellence of HiveMind, and that excellence can only come from HiveMind, where we think about standards, we think about repeated processes, and we talk about it. And more importantly, we drink and fight about it. So that's what I'm all about, and that's why I'm here.
Hi, everyone. Nick Peterson. I'm with ExxonMobil. My role is the 3D product owner. What I really do there is I am in charge of scaling out and sustaining all of these different platforms and services that are part of our digital reality ecosystem. You heard a lot about that today and where we're headed with it. We talked about internally, just getting people more knowledgeable about this space. At the same time, we have to provide them training and getting the data taxonomies right. I heard you talking about that yesterday. There's so many things that go into building digital twins, let alone just sustaining them. But that's really where I think, the hive mind comes into play of everybody working together to be able to really sustain these digital twins and digital applications long term. So excited.
Thank you for joining us. Yeah. It feels good feeling like we're making a step forward toward a problem that's been around for a long time. I'd love for you guys to share, now that we've got introductions and who you are, where you're coming from, just share a little bit about your thoughts, the things we've talked about the last, again, for a while now, and the direction we're going. What's your perspective on why it's important, and why you're getting involved, or where you see it going? Just some feedback for the rest of the people, that we want to get involved.
But go ahead.
I'll start. So I, like I said, represent Los Angeles Community College District as an owner's rep, but I've represented many, many other public large clients. And my thing always coming from a contractor family is you need to protect the owner. You need to take care of the owner. You need to be the best steward of the very limited funds that these clients have. And to, for instance, pilot a digital twin program, we're going to go through some trial and error, but this group, we're creating standards. And so with creating these standards, hopefully as we move forward, and not hopefully, we will create the standards. We will share knowledge across this committee, and instead of the owner really paying for that R&D, we're doing it for them. And then we will provide them the standard so they don't have to trial and error, not happy with this, hire somebody else, try it again. And they're continually paying for the same thing over and over again. So this group will provide the standards, we'll give them the information, we'll tell them the best of the best in the industry, what to use, what not to use, and hopefully they pay for it once.
And I love that that's kind of what was motivating for you, because I think that's something that not only is being a good steward to who are ultimately a lot of our clients, but it's also showing a way that you can measure kind of like that the thing that you're suggesting is a good idea. So it helps us make business cases. It helps us prove out ROIs. It just gives us something that we can kind of tie back to. And the other thing I love about the group and everybody who's on this stage is that a lot of us have these membership kind of experiences. So like I've been with Virtual Reality, Augmented Reality Association. John and I were both on Digital Twin. I think you're still on Digital Twin Consortium. And so we've been on a lot of these different groups. And I think what we bring together as this collective is a lot of ideas about how to organize this from our experiences in other groups. And I think what's cool about the RCN community at large is that it's a group of people full of ideas. So really looking forward to everyone kind of like taking this opportunity as something that you yourself get to participate in and find interesting topics that are interesting to you, but then actually contribute to that going forward. Because we've got a huge list, which you were just starting to cover. So it's very far reaching and there's a lot of nuance in that. So like digital twins for which industry? So like for ExxonMobil, significantly different than if you're with a hospital group. So I think those are all like really, really interesting opportunities that are just inherent in this idea.
Yeah, I think we have to look at it as you are the rising tide, and it's going to lift all boats, and we're going to need everyone to help lift those boats. And we're just at the beginning of what I think reality capture can be and will be. And I think you all know it out there, right? I know we know it. We've talked about it. And over and over again, I talk to people and I hear the same thing. We don't have enough qualified people to do the work. So how do we short circuit that? How do we get people qualified to do floor flatness and floor levelness? How do we bridge that gap? How do we cut through all of that to get them to a point where we can start to tackle this? I mean, this is a big problem, and we're on a quest. We're going to need your help, and I'm so excited to be part of that.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because my experience as a VDC person, the BIM guy, I worked my way through the industry, right? Operations to VDC, and I was a VDC engineer, I was a VDC manager, and I saw this similar situation, this wave building, this movement, this, digitization, this shift, I kind of laugh when I hear people say it's the way the industry's going, and I'm like, kind of already here when it comes to BIM, right? And I see a lot of parallels. And what was interesting is, like, back then, I was on the sidelines, right? I was a consumer of the results of building Smart Alliance and Penn State coming together to put together the BIM execution plan templates and things like that. And I see this as an opportunity to see what worked in that area, in that arena, and try to apply some of that and be part of it, right? Take some of that experience that I've learned, implementing things at DPR, organizing other industry associations, and things like that. So seeing those patterns and, trying to look back at it and go, okay, what worked? Like when we were driving the adoption of BIM, and when other people were driving it, and how can we take that to accelerate the adoption of reality capture and the awareness around it? And then the other thing for me was that my job now is a lot about connecting like-minded individuals. I really loved the first panel that you guys had about the culture of innovation. I will be on that one next time. Loved that conversation, and Todd and I talked about that for like 20 minutes after. But that's my world. And a lot of it, like I said, is connecting like-minded individuals who want to move forward in different ways. And that's what I do at DPR. I build communities that, want to talk about innovation and doing, things a better way. And this seems like a great opportunity to elevate that and to take that from connecting like-minded individuals to connecting like-minded organizations, and to get them focusing on, hey, and realizing that in a lot of ways we have the same goals, and there's all these different parts and pieces that are sort of already thought through or gaps identified, et cetera, and we're realizing how complicated it is, and how much technology is involved, and all of these things. So we need a community around this. We need folks that are going to be identifying and filling those gaps. So I'm really excited about that aspect of it, and getting those like-minded individuals and organizations to look inward and then go, all right, cool, let's go in that direction and get aligned on exactly where we're headed.
Yeah, first of all, let me just say I would love to only pay for a job once. As an owner, I have the history of, I've had, one scanning crew go out and do a job, and I've had to pay another scanning crew to go fix what they
Look, we're trying.
And no, I mean, that's where I really feel like this committee and this group and what we're doing here with all the relationships we're creating with, the smart people in the room, in the audience, and the certifications and the training of, when I go hire a contractor to come do reality capture, I know that they're qualified to do the job. I think that's one of the biggest things that, we have people coming to, sell us their latest and greatest tools or work processes or, engineering jobs. And there's really no way for me to evaluate if they have the history and the work processes in place and the standards that they know, and, are they using the right tools? Right now, my job has really turned into a consultancy for all the sites. Every time they get a laser scanning proposal or a reality capture proposal, they send it to me. And basically, I'm that QA/QC guardrail type of quality check to make sure that they know what they're doing. But I really think the industry needs this so that everybody is on the same page when they say, I'm going to go do a terrestrial laser scan, or I'm going to go do a drone capture and create a 3D mesh. Like, everybody needs to know that that means one thing. That doesn't mean 10 different versions and 10 different data formats. So really excited about driving that.
Yeah, and those problems they exist all over the place, and there's so many companies that want to start using this data, but when you don't know if you can trust it or even what to ask for, right? Like, I've seen individual projects where 3 proposals went to it, right? And one was $5,000, one was 10, one was 25, and you're like, okay, what are question marks?
Yeah, exactly.
But if that person that's asking for an as-built of a project doesn't have enough knowledge to even ask the questions of why is it different, well, what are they going to default to?
Absolutely.
Which one's more affordable? Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so if we can, and this is going to be difficult. Go back to the very first opening presentation I did, right? Innovation is challenging. Most people don't want to try to tackle big problems like this in even formulating how we go about this. It is not going to be easy, and it's going to be a process, right? And if we look at the matrix that we had up of all the different industries and all the different technologies, well, right now, if it's just us right here, we can't solve all of those, and we definitely can't do them quickly. So if the speed at which we can actually create standards or certifications or training and actually start getting these implemented is based on the volume of involvement that we get from the community. And there will probably be sections up there that we together as an advisory group, as we form these committees and we have a leader on the committees and we have the sub leader on those committees, we will identify, okay, what are the highest priority ones? Like, what is the biggest pain point right now? And we'll tackle them in order. So some of them may take time, but it's about starting. I'm very much of the mindset, the quote from Reid Hoffman, founder of LinkedIn, jump off the cliff and build the airplane on the way down. It's how I do things. And I think that's how we have to do things. We have to just start, and we'll start right now. We'll start next week. We'll onboard people. We'll start the committees. We'll start the meetings. And there's going to be bumps. It's going to be a rough road. We might pop a tire. We might, hit a ditch. It might start raining. It's going to be messy in areas. But I think the more involvement we get from professionals, and this is why I'm excited about all of you being involved too, is you guys have served on some of the committees and other organizations that I've watched, but I've not really been deep in. So we need involvement from people who have experience in all the industries, all the technologies, the organization side, the education side. But it's really exciting to think about where can this take us and how can it solve those problems. And like you're saying, from the volume aspect, I've started seeing over the last couple of years really, really, really large opportunities and organizations saying, we have thousands of sites to capture. We have hundreds of sites to capture. We have 100 million square feet we need to do. So when you look at any of the potential volume work, if this doesn't exist, that's not going to happen. Like, because you can't call 10 people, get a quote, and know the quality. And I'd even say I come from the survey background. I had a survey business. Even knowing survey, you can't even trust just surveyors to go out and do it. And I'll say that it's very fair, because the technology has specific workflows and knowledge and training that even sometimes the surveyors need to take time to learn. So you can't even only take it that direction. You can't know, no matter who the company is that's doing scanning right now, again, or doing drone work, you have no way to vet the quality or the knowledge behind the people that are actually doing the work. And sometimes I think we tend to think, oh, the big companies have it figured out though. Like, there's these major organizations that are doing scanning. Well, most of the people that they may not know, most of the big companies that do scanning, they have, 20,000 employees. Well, their scan department is probably like 5 guys, right? And so you have no way to know unless we create this type of material.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We need to be able to create more of a career path around this too. I know we've had this conversation, but all week people have been talking about bringing people into surveying, bringing people into this industry. And it's like, there's some really sexy tech that we're playing around with here. And when people see it, they love it. And they start to think about how they can use it. And I think a lot of things are coming together right now where we're in an existential crisis when it comes to bringing people to our industry. But at the same time, we have clients that are starting to pull for this information. They're starting to understand what they could do with it. And, quite frankly, I don't want us to make the same mistakes that happened when we were, when BIM was up and coming. Again, back to my sort of motivation for it is like, I want us to educate owners. I'm so glad that there's owners and clients, already at the table, because I don't want to see them just asking for BIM and just ask, give me level 450 or whatever, just making stuff up. And because they don't know, I don't want to see that again. I want to see them understanding, what they're asking for, and understanding that there's a spectrum to a lot of these things. And, you guys know my take on it. I want to see us start with use case and sort of work toward the technology, not the other way around. And so, I think we can learn from all that. There's tons of mistakes that have been made, and we can kind of go, all right, let's not do that. Let's figure out how to guide everybody so that all of the boats are raising at the same time. So,
yeah, what's great is, what's great is, number one, and you said it a couple of times, Josh, we're going to have resources through RCN to educate our clients. And that's one of the biggest things that I'm super excited about. And the other, Nick, that you brought up is we can reach back to RCN and vet whoever it is we're interested about and doing work with, whatever vendor, and say, hey, what do you guys think about this? What do you think about this? And we can actually trust the information that we're getting, because right now everyone's just doing the same thing. They're all doing the same thing. They start at 0, they go to 100, and we're all doing the same thing kind of differently, ending up with the same result. And it's probably a lot of wasted resources. And that's not what we want to do. As an owner, that's not what you want.
Absolutely. It's funny. I messaged Matt a couple of weeks ago. We had a project in Italy, and I was like, Matt, do you know any reality capture vendors in Italy? And he messaged me back, and he's like, wouldn't it be great if there was a network where you could go find this information?
Also, I do have some.
Yeah.
Well, and that's where I even see, and again, some of the stuff's not all the way dialed in yet, but I see a potential for the future where we have some of this implemented already, right? Might be a while. I don't know with the time frame, but what happens if we have some standards, if we have training, if we have certifications, and now we can actually start getting all of you who are doing scanning and all of you who want to grow companies that want to do scanning, or again, I keep saying scanning because that's the first part on my mind right now. It's some of the initial challenges that I know a lot of people are having is scanning and registration, but it goes for all the technologies. Once we actually have that material and we do the training and we have the certifications, well, now as a community, as a organization who's helping organize this material, well, we can start having a database of all the companies who have done the training, who've gotten certified. Now, all these requests that we keep getting about who do we go to for this? What about this? What about this? We can actually start saying, where's your project? Italy? Yeah. Okay, well, here's the certified providers in Italy. Yeah. Or what's the specific type of project? Is it an architecture job? Is it an oil and gas job? Well, let me filter by the companies that have the certification, that we go back to that matrix, that have laser scanning with dimensional control experience in oil and gas, or in airports, or in forensics. Because when we go back to that matrix, it's a very different process. It's a different skill set. It's a different knowledge base. It's a different software stack. It's a different modeling process. From capture to processing to delivery to visualization throughout those industries have different nuances to them. And so in the future, I think we can get to the point, all of those have different training and certifications, and we can actually start giving then the requests. If an owner in a certain industry says, we need scanning for this type of project, well, we're going to have a guideline that says, well, if it's a refinery, then across that matrix, it's going to need a checkbox at the survey control. It's going to need this. And we're going to filter down to a guideline process that says, okay, this is the survey methodology that has to be used to hit this tolerance with these types of scanners. Like, we can solve the problem to make the scalable, process happen. And the other problem with the scale, again, is even if people are trained, if someone has a large organization that needs a lot of sites, and there's many of them, this is a great example, ExxonMobil, but there's many organizations who have many sites, and they all are going to have the same problem. I feel like you guys are pretty early in being involved with us and seeing the need for this. But if we can build this foundation, then again, we're talking about the scale of the rest of the world, and there's a lot to do. There's a lot to be done.
Well, I love that you were just touching on, it's like not just scanning, because like that sentence is so interesting in that so much of the built world needs to have a way to capture reality itself. It's like scanning is that vector, but like me being a BIM person and a skyscraper person, I can tell you anything that you're doing in the built world, if you're going to try to touch this, the workflows that we're going to try to start having certification around, like it will touch everything. Like anything that requires construction and permitting and any kind of understanding of reality into a digital environment, you're going to touch it all. So I think regardless of where you are, if you're in the room as a software vendor, as a hardware maker, as an architect, as an engineer, anyone who's in this space of the built world, you're going to have something that you can contribute to in these committees. And I love the way that they're stacked as well. So we have industries where you can have your industry focus, and you have technologies where even if you're just tech curious and something that's emerging like generative AI or whatever, you can come talk with everyone else, meet people who are really deep in it, and then decide if you want to get deep in it yourself. You might find some really interesting use cases. And I think that's really where this group becomes super powerful, and that there'll be a diversity of experience and application across so many different industries. And honestly, for me, that's the most exciting part of it, is just seeing what everyone else does with the things that we just start to kind of come up with in the framework. So that I think is the most interesting opportunity there for everybody in the room.
I don't know if I've said it before, but we're also really focused on community. The goal with some of this is also, how do we keep the whole community engaged, working together, apart from, hey, we're meeting once a year at a conference. The goal with how some of these are going to work, even like you just said on the technology side, you may not even be the expert, but you want to get involved, you want to learn, and you'll contribute where you can. You know, some of the ways we see those groups working, we're going to pick a platform, something like Slack or Discord, where we'll have groups out where you can actually come and chat. You can build the community, you can build relationships and have conversation ongoing. Again, some of this is new. We don't have it all the way built. We'll likely start forum aspect. We'll likely start user meetings. There's other things I think that'll come out of this, but this is kind of really just the beginning. Any final thoughts?
It's exciting. It's definitely needed in the industry, and it's exciting to be a part of.
I guess I have one closing thought for sure. What I love about like the way Matt operates is that he's inclusivity first. And it's really needed because the built world loves silos. So like the BIM failures of like 2000 to 2015, it's so many competing bodies of like who was more right, who had more authority. And it was super frustrating because you would see big tech companies arguing with each other about who did it right or who did it better. And then if you were just trying to learn and you weren't there knowing kind of like what all that nuance was in the messaging, it was really hard for you to find your way. And especially just to like even just claim that you were a BIM expert. You have so many different bodies of certification. So what I really like about this is that it's very, very inclusive, and that you're welcome, and that we welcome all opinion in that. And that's honestly what's going to make this stand apart from so many of the other built world groups that I've frankly been super dissatisfied with over the last 20 years. So hopefully we as a group and you as a people can make that way better.
I think I would say, you know, the biggest thing, biggest takeaway I would have is we've started this, but we're going to need a lot of help. And there's a lot of experts here in the room that know very specific things. And we need you guys to be able to bring those things to the table and help with this, because this is a community. And the only way we're going to get there is with everyone getting involved.
And healthy fighting. Healthy very good.
That's called debate.
Healthy discussion. And I think, and not that I think, I know owners are going to love you. They are going to love you. They are going to love RCN. This is gold. This is liquid gold for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't really have anything other than I'm excited to take it to the next level. I'm glad to have finally gotten a chance to tell everybody about it. And I just can't wait to get more people involved in what we're trying to do.
Same. Yeah. And it is the exciting part, is that this helps literally everybody, because and when we talk about some of the material we want to create, right? Like I get questions all the time. Like I get people LinkedIn messages, calls, whatever. Like, hey, do you have an example of laser scanning that was used on this type of job that I can put in my presentation? I'm like, well, probably somewhere, but like not available. Do you have a ROI? Like, have you done ROI on like how we do that? I'm like some of this exists, right? Like so many of you, organizations, construction firms, all of you, we've all done some level of our own, like R&D, our own testing, our own case studies. But where do they live? They're hidden somewhere. They're gone. They're non-existent. We can't find them. Those are the types of things, again, that we're going to be able to resource share and say, let's create that. It's what our education center is going to become. It's going to become full of stuff that collectively we've created that are the use cases of laser scanning, drones, digital twins, whatever per industry. So now we all have resources to go to and say, okay, I can pull from there to go now educate my client. Okay, the client can go there to educate themselves about what they want to do for their organization. From people who don't yet touch the technology to those that are looking to put it in, enterprise wide, it will help the whole spectrum. So it's very exciting. Thank you guys again for your participation, and look forward to getting more of you involved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you, Matt.
One more thing I want to share, we're talking about creating all this material and creating education content and courses. So I'm also excited to talk about our partnership with Global E-Training. For those of you who are not familiar, we are going to start working with them to house a lot of our educational content right now. We really started realizing, okay, a lot of this is going to be coming in course content. So there's going to be a future where we're doing in-person training and education. But in the beginning, I think so many things could start with digital courses. So there's a lot of you that want to get started in laser scanning. How do you start? Well, usually you have to get a scanner and then bang your head against the wall a little bit and figure it out the hard way. And really what we want to start doing, again, look at that matrix of different scanning, different drones, different modeling processes through different industry applications, and creating training content that has a library full of content that you can go walk through those courses to start the education process. We'll start from entry level and we'll go all the way as advanced as you guys can help us create. Because there are a lot of people who have a lot of knowledge. So I'm excited about this. I want to bring out Lorinda from GET. Welcome her out to the stage. We'll talk a little bit about this. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Where you took a long trip to get here.
It was a really long trip.
Actually,
yeah.
I do think there are actually people who took a longer trip, but
there are. And there's actually, I ran into somebody who was like an hour or two from my home.
Hey, we're getting people from all over. So, yeah. Well, I would love, for those that aren't familiar with Global E-Training, I'd love for you to give a little bit of information about what your organization is, what you have done up to this point, and then we can talk a little bit about why we're partnering.
Sure. So we've been in the industry for over 30 years. We originally started with physical colleges in Canada, going back to the days of the big old drafting boards. And then as we moved through the processes of education, we decided, it was about 15 years ago now, that we wanted online education to augment what we were doing in class. And originally we went looking for a solution that would suit our needs as instructors, and we couldn't find it. So we ended up creating it, and that's originally how Global E-Training was born. And originally we started with just Autodesk. We actually had 8 Autodesk courses, because we are Autodesk certified instructors. We are an Autodesk authorized training center, and we are now Autodesk authorized publishers. Since then, going to the kind of theme of innovation, we've heard over and over from our clients that just Autodesk isn't good enough. You're not using only Autodesk in your day-to-day lives. We now have over 450 courses on the platform. So, moving away from Autodesk, we certainly have the largest Autodesk library out there, but we know you're also using Bluebeam, you're using, OSHA training, you're using, SolidWorks and Revisto and some of the other kind of software content out there, Microsoft even. So there's a lot of different content available. From there, we, again, going back to innovation, we keep hearing from our clients that the out-of-the-box stuff is great. It will get you only so far, though. So then we started creating new content or new platforms for our clients to start customizing. you need your specific workflows, and how are you disseminating that knowledge throughout your organizations and throughout the industry. So we've created software platforms where you can go and customize, either taking our own content or building stuff from scratch. So it's doing like even simple onboarding stuff, like how are we filling out our timesheets, to the really complex workflows that we're doing in our day-to-day lives in the built environment. And now we're looking at this partnership with Reality Capture Network, and really, really excited to bring new products to the industry and innovate some more.
So, like I said earlier, I don't like to reinvent the wheel. So, originally we were like, okay, we're going to have to develop a learning management system on our website and host all the courses. And we are a small team with limited resources, and we have to pick our battles of, okay, where is our expertise? And we started talking with Global E-Training, and we're like, man, they have done a lot of work to build out a platform that can host courses with a course builder that'll help us create them faster. They have a large network of users already that are in this industry that are taking BIM courses that also are people who need reality capture training. So very excited to utilize the expertise that you guys have in e-learning and course building, in just how training works in general. Like, I'm not an educator, so we need the training. We need the collaboration.
Yeah. So one of the things I was hearing on the last panel was, if we do this, and what I think we're bringing to the table is not the if, it's now the when and the how.
Yeah. So now you're waiting on us, because now we're like, okay, well,
yes, we are.
We're going to get the committees going. But what's also exciting is, I believe that the combination of these things, the committees, are going to help us really fine tune the expertise of the content to then create courses based on the standards or based on the certification processes. As we define what that roadmap looks like, that content will be vetted by the organization, and we will pull that in through your platform. And there's going to be a portion of it that will be open to all users of Global E-Training. And then we're actually going to have our own interface, which I'll show you here. We'll have our own site that will have some of our own specific content. We'll probably break it out to, we may have very small learnings, small courses that are, several minutes, that are teaching you how to do this small thing that's really difficult. A lot of people struggle with, and I say control a lot because we do that, but a lot of people struggle with what's the survey control integration process within, registration. Well, we may have a small little course on that, but we also may create full courses that are from, entry level to expert level of full laser scanning courses. So we'll have those broken out with different types of content. We're really excited about it. And again, this is a brand new relationship. I do not have a catalog already full of content for you to go train on today, but this is the roadmap, again, from the committees to where we're going to be housing it. And we're planning to move quickly. So it is our call to everybody to get involved if you want to participate in helping the industry move forward. And I'll also throw out, this is back even onto the committee participation, but we are going to create processes that give you value back, even apart from just the fact that we're sharing and learning together. But those that get involved and are companies that see the need for this and are willing to dedicate some resources or some time to participate, you want to help lead a committee, we're going to create value to give back to you in multiple ways. And those are things that we can talk about. One of them just being good exposure. We're going to be creating an advisory group. We're going to have committee leader profiles on our website. As we're building attention with the conference and with our podcast, we are going to be giving you a page as part of our organization to be one of the experts in the industry and to be a thought leader in the industry. And we want then those people to be involved in our conference and come help share and speak. So I want to create it in a way that gives value back to everybody who's participating. And also we'll shape that as we go based on the feedback as well that we get from the community. Everything we do moving forward is going to be based on the groups that work with us and help guide the directions collectively. So thank you again for coming out. Very excited about our partnership, and hopefully we get some good courses here soon.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I'll be poking you.
Perfect. Well, thank you again for joining us.
Thanks.
Thank you. So those are a few of the things we have planned that I'm pretty excited about. But these are a few other things that we see coming in the future. We actually, man, I've said this before too. I jump off the cliff and I build an airplane on the way down. I know we posted earlier in the year we were going to do a startup pitch competition. We're really excited about that. Again, limited resources. We said we were going to try to have it ready for this year's conference. We just couldn't pull it off in time. And one of the reasons we got so much interest from people who wanted to get involved. At first, we were just going to say, let's just have people get up and do their pitch, and we're just going to give them, a cash award that we'll get from sponsors. Well, we started having industry VC groups, and we had investors, and we're like, okay, let's slow down a little bit and formulate this in a way that we think is going to benefit the startups as well as the industry most. So we slowed down on it, but it is something we're going to do, and we hope to have the first one next year. So we're calling that RCN Ignite. We know there's a lot of innovators. There's a lot of new business ideas. In order for us to, again, scale and move forward, we want to highlight those companies, people who are creating processes and technologies and softwares that are going to come in and change the game. Startup life is hard, and we want to create, with the community that we have and the visibility that we have and the large organizations that we have, we want to create a place that those people can come share their ideas, and maybe it'll be one that really becomes a game changer in our industry. So we're going to use our visibility to help people kind of pitch their startup instead of doing it all by yourself. I'm pretty excited about that one. The other thing you can expect is we're going to start trying to show up to other industry events. Some of them are like GeoWeek. We right now have a partnership with them. We'll be at the conference. We'll have a little networking thing. We'll see you guys there. Another one that we recently talked with is AWE. They have multiple conferences in a couple different countries. Their big one in the US is in California, and they have about 3,000 or 4,000 people who are coming to talk about just AR, VR, XR, and they see the need for reality capture conversation. So we're going to start looking at partnering with other industry events to pull in others that are not yet involved. A couple other things. I've had a lot of questions about this one. I've had questions of, when are we doing RCN Orlando? And when are we doing RCN France? And when are we doing RCN in Canada? Like, we need a conference. We don't have this community. We all have the same problems with the technologies. And again, I am not ready to put on conferences and host events and coordinate groups in all those countries. So we would like to formulate and start a regional partnership program where we identify companies in different locations, in different countries, who see those needs and want to get involved. And the benefit of doing things under one brand is that we already have visibility from all of those countries. We are getting global visibility. And so I've had people reach out even in states and say, hey, we were thinking about putting on a conference in Indiana or in New York, but we don't really know where to start either. And we know that there's a good base over here, but we see that you've already done it. Can we do it under RCN? And so our goal now is to start saying, look, if you have ideas, bring them to us. We want to partner. We want to find ways to continue the expansion. And it works really well to do it under a brand that's already got the recognition and the involvement. Because if I announce tomorrow that we're going to do a conference in another state in the US, we're going to have a bunch of people that are already nearby that know what we're about, and they're going to come. But we can't do them all over the place. So we need to start actually building that partnership in order to do so. Other things that we're going to look at in the future are doing additional types of events. This one right now is our only conference. This is our 3rd year. We're figuring it out as we go. Right now, we are covering all technologies, all industries, talking about the technology and innovation in whole. But I think that we will start to expand down because we can get a little more niche and say, look, let's have an individual conference in Texas talking about oil and gas. Let's have an individual conference that's talking about just architecture. Because again, we look at that matrix, right, of all the different industries, all the different technologies. We can really start diving into different events around those as well, so that it's really niche to you and what you do. And we'll probably always keep one big annual RCN like this in whole for everybody, the whole community. But I believe we'll start doing some niche down events as well. And the other part is, when we look at the training material we plan to create and the certifications we plan to create, we will start with courses. Those will be ways to get through training. But I believe especially with all the technologies we have, we need to do in-person training as well. And I've talked with many companies about this, and every time I talk about it, they're like, if that was available, we would send you 3 technicians today, because we know they need training. We don't know how to train them. We're all new at scanning. So if you have a week-long boot camp that we can send someone to, and you're going to teach them the ins and outs of terrestrial scanning versus mobile scanning versus what you can do with an iPhone, you're going to teach them how to integrate survey control and go through the registration process, and you're going to send them back to us with experience, then those are some things that we're looking at getting into and starting. And all of that is going to stem out of the committees. So we're pretty excited about some of the future things. And again, a lot of these are going to be built based on the involvement, because we need help in order to do a lot of them. So that is really what we're looking at. I already said how you can get involved, so I don't need to tell you that again. But it really does come down to go fast alone or go far together. And I'm all about going far together with you guys.